Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly Tuesday sessions for the Virtual Virginia Expansion Project. My name is Dominic Church. I'm the Regional Director in Virginia, and I'm joined today by a couple of my colleagues. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'm Rachel Swanson, a Senior Solutions Engineer. Most of you have probably been in some kind of communication with me up to this point.
And it looks like Katie is on as well, but she's muted.
Hey everyone, I'm Katie Morgan. I'm a Senior Account Executive. Thanks for being here today.
So we're going to jump right into a status update that Rachel can share with you on where everybody's at with the project.
All right, so since the last time we spoke, we now have confirmed technical details with 95 divisions. 8 divisions are fully implemented.
Everyone in the loop of what's going on.
I'm just going to ask if you could mute yourself, if everybody could mute themselves. Maybe Dominic, you can help me with that. Okay, great. All right. And 8 divisions have been fully implemented, meaning that authentication with your local authentication protocol, as well as your student information system imports have been set up and should be happening on an automated basis. We have started the implementation process with 47 divisions, meaning that you're somewhere in between that process. So maybe you've set up authentication and we're still working on the sys imports. Maybe you have test data in a test environment. And we're just wrapping up that process. So that is the status of 47 divisions. Probably the most important update, and some of you have probably received this communication from me already, is that we do have a new dedicated email just for Virginia division. And that is here on my screen. That is vvahelp@instructure.com. You'll likely experience faster response times than if you were to email me directly. That is a shared email inbox by a team that is dedicated to this project. So especially any details related to your implementation, please reach out at that email. If you email me, I'll make sure that we get you taken care of, but that inbox is definitely going to be the fastest response times because it is a shared inbox. All right, so what we're going to cover today before we go into the Q&A is just kind of a natural progression of probably what you're hoping to hear about next based on some of the content we've covered on past webinars. So this is probably particularly helpful if you're in the middle of implementation, if you've gained access to your Canvas environment and you're wondering how to brand and theme your Canvas environment to match the branding of your school division, as well as we're going to take a look at sub-accounts and custom permissions. Those questions have come up during the implementation process, and I just want to make sure everybody has a good understanding of those. So I have just swiped over to a Canvas environment, logged in as an administrator. Katie or Dominic, can you help me with muting? I don't know if these are new additions to the meeting.
Yeah, we're on it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah. All right, so I'm logged into Canvas as an administrator. It's very likely that when you log into Canvas, you're not going to see course tiles here on your dashboard. I have course tiles as an administrator because I also have a course enrollment in a course. So I may, even though I'm an administrator, I can still be a teacher in a course designer in a course, even a student in a course, which is what's causing me to have tiles here on my dashboard. But even if you don't have any tiles at all on your dashboard, you're going to get to your admin settings by clicking on this admin shield, and your school division name will be listed here, and you'll go ahead and just click on that. As soon as you do that, you will be in the administrative settings of Canvas. Many of you have already found your way here, particularly if you are fully implemented or partially implemented. You've already come here to authentication. That's where you set up your external authentication. So just a couple details here. All of the courses, whether they're manually created or created by your student information system sync, all appear here. So these are all searchable for you. As an administrator, you can even go into a specific class. So kind of put yourself in the shoes of in the fall, once content is in these courses and students are engaging and courses are being facilitated, any administrator can step foot kind of digitally into any of these courses. You also can search all of the users in your environment by coming here to people. And again, these are going to be either manually created or primarily you'll see these be the users created by your student information system sync. So let's just start here with themes and branding. So here you have themes. And you can see I have lots of themes in my particular environment, but if you would like to create a new theme, you can do that with in the upper right-hand corner, and you can create your theme based on some default templates that are in here. So let's go ahead and select the K-12 theme. There's nothing really specific about this other than just the colors have been selected to, potentially match that of a K-12 institution, but, you can choose the university template and it will have no, impact on your environment. This is purely aesthetic related. So here you can see it's a very simple process of you have a color picker here, or in most cases, I imagine you probably know what your hexadecimal numbers are for your particular division's branding. And as you make different color selections, so as I change the color here, I have an opportunity to preview so I can see the impact that this is making as I make modifications to those colors. So you can see now that purple has applied. So you have the global branding that's really impacting just your primary colors, your button colors, as you can see here. And as you scroll through here, you're going to be able to preview the impact of all of the changes that you're making. Here you have your global navigation, which represents this bar here on the left-hand side. And you can also make modifications to your login screen as well. And that really will be impacted based on the way that you're choosing to have users authenticate. Some may see the Canvas login page and you may have users not necessarily engaging with the Canvas login page. But that is really quickly how you navigate to this space. Once you have the theme that you would like, you can go ahead and save that theme. And then once you save that, you'll then select to apply the theme. So those are probably the two important steps to make sure that you complete in order to make sure that the colors save to your environment. We also, I have a link to the guide here that I am going to pop in the chat here real quick. So if you want to, have the specific step-by-step instructions of what I just walked through, I have just added that link to the chat. Okay, so a couple other things outside of themes that I thought would be helpful for you to understand is sub-accounts. So think of sub-accounts basically as your schools. These will come over with your SIS sync. So generally we provision schools from your SIS as sub-accounts. So you may not see any sub-accounts right now. Even if you're technically in a fully implemented status, but you haven't completed rollover, that means that we haven't provisioned that data yet. So we've only provisioned your users. So if you know that you're in that fully implemented status and you're still not seeing schools, don't panic because we need to wait for your rollover to bring in all of your 2021 data for you to see schools. But as soon as that happens, all of your schools will appear here. What's important to understand about schools is that they all have a sub-account architecture, meaning that you can brand a specific school differently than the whole division if you would like to. Of course, the division theming will trickle down to the schools, but you'll also notice here now that I can search for courses just within this school, or I can see just the users who have an enrollment in a course within this school. I also, could have additional sub-accounts within this school, and then this school also has its own settings. What that means is if you're on this webinar, you probably have administrative access to the entire division's account, but we can add account admins just to schools or sub-accounts. So think of your building level administrators who you don't want to give access to all student data, but maybe just the student data and courses at those schools. So if you wanted to add an account admin, you can see I have a couple custom roles here, which we'll get to in a moment. But all that I would need to do is come into that sub account and add that administrator or that user as an admin at the school rather than the entire root account or division level account. So, and speaking of those custom permissions, that was the final piece that I just wanted to touch on today. So if I come here to permissions, and again, I'm doing this at the root account or the division level account, but these permissions can be customized at even school levels if you wanted them to. And so custom roles can be created both in a course role context or an account role context. So think of course roles within the confines of a course. So you're giving permission to a user to be able to do things within a course. So typically those are students and teachers, but sometimes we might see instructional assistants, substitute teachers, those kinds of roles where we add them specifically to a course. And then our account level roles, think of those as roles that span across courses. So those might be principals, school counselors. They need the ability to search across courses, and so we would give them an account level role. So by default, you'll see account admin in here, as well as a couple internal services related to our assessment engine and outcomes. You can kind of ignore those, but you'll see in my environment now I've added a specific role for a principal and a school counselor. And then you can see where I can go down and provide specific access and permissions to these roles specifically. So it may be that we don't necessarily want principals to be able to manage developer keys, but we probably want principals to be able to add announcements within their school. And so I can select to enable that if I wanted to. And you can see now they have that level of permission. So that covers what we wanted to make sure you were aware of, just kind of in these bite-sized chunks as we get together on these webinars. So really that concludes how you will modify the branding of a Canvas environment, how you can browse courses and users, as well as what the sub-account structure looks like, making sure you remember that those relate to schools, as well as creating custom permissions if you wish to do so. So we'll go ahead and take Q&A at this point.
Okay, the first question is, where
Yeah.
can we find recordings of the webinars?
Jamie is on with us. I'm going to invite her because I think she's been distributing the recordings.
Actually, if not, I'm not sure if the VBA team has or how they've been. We didn't have one last week other than the Google Stand when we added back to the slides we shared out in the chat. So I'm not sure how they're coming.
Well, I have the recordings, so I can send them over to the VBA team, or I can send them to Jamie to distribute out to, well, I don't know that Jamie has everybody's email addresses, so I'll send them to the Virtual Virginia team, and then they can share out the recordings.
And the next question looks like
and this is
go ahead.
Karen Richardson with VSTE. If it's okay if I pop in real quick. We've got all the webinars we did posted on a page at our site. It is public, but we could, yay, Jamie, I just saw your question. So yes, I'm saying yes, Jamie, we could add them to that archive page. It's the post is aging, but I think we're going to take the content off of it and put it on a formal archive page. So yeah, we'd be happy to put those at the VSTE site.
Perfect, then we'll make sure to include you, Karen, on the email with the recording links.
Good. Excellent.
All right, there's another question on there about, has the calendar for the Virtual Virginia courses been released? I think I saw Nate on here from Virtual Virginia. Do you have any updates for us?
Yes, actually we do. We have it posted on our website. I'll share the link here. But from there, you can access the calendar that has the courses and the release dates we're shooting for.
You guys are awfully quiet today. Do we have info on the specific SOL covered in the first release? Another question for Virtual Virginia.
I'm not sure. When they're released, it is the full version, so it'll cover all the SOLs at its release time.
Nate, did you see the comment that they said it looks like K-8 is being released a quarter at a time?
I do see that. Let me. Yes, I'll have to check on that. But the calendar does say a quarter, but I can't speak for sure on that.
No problem. What other questions do we have from the group? Is there anything for the Canvas team while you guys have us here?
I'm not sure who was on the email about what VSTE is doing, but I can just fill in the group real quick. So we're doing a train the trainer focus. We have 250 people signed up from 75 school divisions. We'll probably be adding some folks here at the end. And we're doing it in 3 groups K5, 6, 8, 9, 12. It'll be mostly self-paced through July. There are some milestones and things, but we are aware that folks are on vacation, so we're trying to be pretty gentle. But we are doing the very originally named Lunch and Learn sessions on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays each week. So we've set them for noon time. I'm getting some of our presenters to come in. I'm pretty sure, Dominic, I saw, were you on an email with Brian? Or I know some Canvas folks are signed up as well. The first week especially, I think, might be great because people are going to be still figuring out getting access to their own instance of it if they can. Our goal is to have them working on their own courses to help them familiarize yourself while they're in the course we have at Virtual Virginia. So that starts next Monday. So that'll be our July, and we kept it pretty limited. I've had good response from some of the folks that did presentations for us in June to come in and be part of our facilitation as well. So I'm looking forward to it, and Raj just sent out the introductory email to everyone. And the last piece is I am going to send an email to all the contacts that we had through Virtual Virginia today, the main contacts, not the actual participants, just to say, we asked them when they signed up and put people, if they knew if their instance was ready to go, and probably half said yes and half said maybe. I'm going to pull out the maybes today and email them and CC Brian on it. And Rachel, I'm wondering if I should CC you or should we just keep it in-house for now? But basically going to say to them, you know, a month ago you said maybe. Brian's under the impression that many of you have your instances. We need to know, and we may be able to expedite yours, but we want them to have their own place to play. So we'll, yeah, so Jamie, you'll get an email from me probably today, but that's what I guess I'm trying to shush out here is, Rachel, are you the contact or is Brian the contact?
As far as having access to their Canvas environment,
Yes.
the best contact is the email that I shared at the beginning,
Perfect.
the VBA help, and the team
Excellent.
there can answer questions as far as what access is currently available.
Perfect. Thanks, Jamie. And I actually took a screenshot of that just to make sure that I had it. So good. Yeah. Okay, great. So it's copacetic if today, this afternoon, I'm going to send out an email to the maybes on the list. If you said yes a month ago, I don't need to talk to you, but the maybes on the list. So it's probably about 45 of them, and say, we need to confirm that you have yours. And if you don't, please contact vvahelp@instructure.com and they'll be able to help you along with this. We really don't need the participants to get to it probably until June 13th. You know how the first week of an online course goes. People are just going to be getting their feet wet and stuff, but it'd be great if everybody could be there anyway. So good. Perfect. You answered my question perfectly because that's on my to-do list for this afternoon. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a question a few up that asked about sandboxes in Canvas.
Yep.
That
Okay.
came from Jamie McKenna. Is there a specific question you want us to talk through, or just generally?
Let me address that generally. I think that this is a big area of confusion for many people. So let me address that generally. So all a Canvas sandbox is a manually created blank course outside of the SIS integration. So there isn't anything extra special about a sandbox course. All that it is a blank course that a teacher has access to that doesn't have student enrollments in. So it's just a place to explore and begin learning, the basic functionality of Canvas. Now, how can we deliver a sandbox to a teacher? Some of you I've been in communication with, Jaron and Josh have been in communication with how the sandboxes get created. One of the ways is you can do a CSV import of the courses and enrolling those teachers in those blank courses. Or that's a little bit more work on an administrator's part. Or you can alter the settings in your Canvas environment. You can see down here who can create new courses. So you can establish that any teacher can create any new course, or any users with no enrollments. So if you have already had your SIS integration set up, that's probably the status of most of your users. Right now, they're just users in Canvas. So any user with no enrollments, which applies to just those users, have the ability to create new courses. What that looks like from their perspective is if I go to my dashboard here, I have a button here that says start a new course. And then I, as a user, can name that course whatever I would like to. It's not connected to PowerSchool. It's just what we call a sandbox environment to begin building and exploring within. So those are really the two ways to deliver sandboxes or enable sandboxes for teachers. One is that you would create a CSV file of the courses and the teacher enrollments so that when they log into Canvas, they have that tile right on their dashboard. The second option would be to modify your admin settings to allow teachers the ability to have this start a new course button to create their own sandbox courses. I would say the benefit of that is that it's a little bit less work on your side as an administrator, as well as maybe you're giving teachers the opportunity to create more than one while they're waiting for your rollover and their fall courses to be created. What's also important to understand is any content that gets created in those sandbox courses will easily import into the courses that get provisioned from the SIS ultimately. Outside of that, are there any questions?
Lisa asks if we can turn off the start a new course option once the rollover comes through.
Yeah.
The answer to that is yes, we can make it so that only admins can create courses outside of a SIS rollover. One thing to consider though is Canvas doesn't, we don't preclude you from creating a million new courses. So if somebody wanted to leverage the new courses to say, maybe use Canvas for a club, like a chess club or a sports team, or maybe an extracurricular activity like a marching band that might span a couple of different course codes. The ability for a teacher to spin up a course and then enroll students in it can be helpful. But if you have a reason that you want to turn that off and only use the SIS provisioned courses, you certainly can do that. I'm going back up to where I think we left off before. There was a question for Virtual Virginia about K-8 content again. Is it possible to get access to the material that was produced for the fourth 9 weeks? If Nate may or may not have the answer to that, but
Yeah, I apologize. There's no access to it beforehand from what will be released. If you have seen the resources from the outreach side through us, you can kind of see what would be. I believe they're working from the beginning to the end, so that would be the last part. But that would be the only way to see that. The difference being that we just have to take out some pieces that by copyright and some other use case and things we can't actually share out. So it would be a little different, but that's the idea of the content that would be included.
Thanks, Nate. And then it looks like Karen answered the next question about wait lists. David asked about quizzes. Is there a feature that prevents a student from going to another tab to Google the answer? Canvas on its own doesn't lock a student down, but we do integrate with lockdown browsers, things like Respondus. Rachel, do you want to talk a little bit about, maybe quiz log auditing as a way to kind of see whether or not students have taken a trip elsewhere?
Yeah, so as Dominic said, Canvas natively doesn't have a lockdown browser. We do have an integration with Respondus. Also, depending on the device you're using, And I'll see if I can find the guide that I have. Some Chromebooks implementations have the ability to leverage kiosk mode in certain cases in order to have that kind of functionality, but that of course is device dependent. And then in addition to that, all teachers do have access to student logs to, have an indication of how much time they're spending, if they're navigating elsewhere. So it's not a preventative measure, but it's certainly something that you can use after the fact in, diagnosing any academic integrity issues.
Okay, so to follow up, Rachel, so there's a log that a teacher could pull up to then track whether or not a student left the quiz and went somewhere else. It wouldn't prevent them from moving, but it would, you'd have a record of that student then leaving the quiz.
Right, and so what I've seen a lot of teachers do is show the students that and just say that this is information I have access to, so please bear that in mind, and then the warning has been delivered.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And it looks like we've got a question from Kathy about tips that we can offer about setting up Canvas in a way that doesn't use a significant amount of data. They've purchased hotspots, they're putting them out in the community, but those have data limits of 2 gigabytes a month. Just generally speaking, Canvas is pretty lightweight, but of course the content that you put in a Canvas course can get heavy pretty quickly if we're talking about lots of images, lots of videos, things like that. Documents that you might upload that you expect a student to access. The tips that I would have if you're worried about such things is potentially leveraging some of our offline access, things like the ability for a student to export to an EPUB file where they can download the entire content package, perhaps at school. And then when they go home, they can access Canvas that way. They can't upload assignments. They can't participate in discussions or take a quiz, but they can review and read and see all of the content so that when they do return back to school, if they worked on their assignment at home, they can come back into school and upload that. Of course, they could jump on the hotspot and upload it from home as well, but that would give you a way to kind of mitigate needing to stream all of the content that happens to be in Canvas over that hotspot. Any other suggestions from my instructor colleagues?
I think that you covered what I would have said. I think just emphasizing that inherently Canvas is designed to not be incredibly bandwidth heavy, through caching protocols and just the architecture in general, it's really built to be able to handle low bandwidth environments. So just that, I would just emphasize that in addition to some of the tips Dominic suggested.
Jay has a question about the EPUB. Can video be downloaded? Yes, if there's a video that's been uploaded into Canvas, that becomes part of the EPUB package and students can access that on something like a Kindle or iBooks on a Mac or a Calibre or Calibre. Lots of resources out there to use the EPUBs to access the content there. Let's see, Angela asks, is there a way to use Canvas to communicate with teachers and share information and resources throughout the year? They've used and continue to use Google Classroom, but it'd be nice to have it all in one platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple different options, and I am sharing my screen here. Okay. So one is global announcements. So as I come into the admin area of this Canvas environment, I can come to the settings here, the bottom left-hand corner. And along the top, I have a tab for announcements. So you can see I have several announcements. So these announcements are considered global announcements, meaning they will go to every user that I select that they go to. So I can create an announcement and decide if they go to everyone, meaning I wouldn't select anything, or if I want these announcements to go to specific users, I can make that indication. I can also do this at the school level. I demonstrated that sub-account architecture. This is a perfect use case for making use of those sub-accounts, is adding announcements just to those places. And then in addition to that, we also see lots of school districts leverage principal level courses or curriculum level courses for further communication. So if we think outside the box a little bit, here I have a curriculum hub course where we provide access to all of the teachers, where there are specific announcements related to curriculum specifically. I can navigate and find more curricular resources within this environment. So the answer to that is yes.
And just to piggyback on that a little bit more, a lot of schools will leverage a course where perhaps the principal, assistant principal are the teachers in the course, and all of the faculty are students in that course. And you end up having a little communications hub for all of the adults in the building to be able to come in. And, if you've got back to school beginning of year forms that you're expecting to collect, you can leverage Canvas. The principal can collect them that way. If you need to discuss where you're going to have your end of the year luncheon, you can do that inside of Canvas in that faculty course. There's lots of really interesting, unique uses for Canvas inside of a school district. And we encourage you to get creative and really think outside of the box. A course doesn't just have to be content for students. A course is a place where we bring users and content together for lots of different reasons. Let's see, a couple questions about assessment management platforms. I'm going to go backwards and talk about, does Canvas integrate with Mastery Connect? Yes, in fact, Mastery Connect is owned by Instructure, the company that builds Canvas. We purchased Mastery Connect a little bit over a year ago because of the strength of their integration with Canvas, and Rachel can kind of show you how that Mastery Connect integration works.
Yeah, so you can see here I have access to Mastery Connect. I'm going to actually go into my teacher account because that is a more applicable to the integration. So I can go ahead and select Mastery Connect here from my global navigation. You can see that Mastery Connect is embedded here right inside of Canvas. I can navigate to my trackers. I can take a look at all of the data that your teachers have come to know and love related to Mastery Connect. But where the integration is really strong is that I can actually place Mastery Connect assessments inside of Canvas. The grade that is captured from that assessment comes back to the Canvas gradebook, which would ultimately go back to your SIS based on your SIS. But all of the mastery and standard data is still coming and being collected in the tracker in order for teachers to make informed decisions with that data. So it's a really strong integration, really powerful.
And now to go back one and speak a little bit to whether or not Canvas integrates with Performance Matters. The answer, generally speaking, is we integrate with any assessment management platform that leverages one of the global standards, things like LTI or QTI. So in order for an external tool to connect to Canvas, it has to use the standards that most educational software is built on. That being said, Performance Matters did at one point have an LTI integration with Canvas. We haven't been able to get the company that produces Performance Matters to confirm whether or not they're maintaining that LTI. We've seen it out in the wild in a couple of places, but we can't get them to tell us that it exists 100% in reality for anybody that wants to access it. That being said, You can include a link using an app called the Redirect app inside of a course to launch Performance Matters from within Canvas. The thing that you're missing out on there is the ability to bring a specific Performance Matters assessment directly into Canvas. You would just be launching them to the Performance Matters portal. Anything extra that I may have left out there?
I would just say what's important to understand about content providers, whether it's an assessment platform, a curricular provider, any of those things that integrate with Canvas, is those providers are actually the ones who build the integration. And so that's why it's best to confirm with them directly as far as what they're able to support for an integration. So just generally speaking, any tool you're wondering about the integration, outside of a couple specific use cases, mostly those integrations are built by those third-party tools.
And even though we do sell an assessment management platform in Mastery Connect, we will integrate with any assessment management platform that lives and breathes the same global standards that we were just mentioning. So you don't have to buy ours. You can bring another one to the party if you want. A question about Desmos being integrated. So that, as far as I know, and I just did a little bit of Googling, there's no Desmos LTI. There's a way to embed Desmos in Canvas. There is an integration of Desmos into Mastery Connect. That is an add-on to Mastery Connect if you want to leverage the Desmos calculator and the Desmos question types in Mastery Connect. Otherwise, what we see generally is most people bringing the Desmos calculator directly into Canvas as a way to either teach how to use the calculator or give it as a resource for students. You can provide a link right on any page to that. Is there a fee to integrate Canvas into Mastery Connect, or vice versa, really Mastery Connect coming into Canvas is more often what we see? Yeah, Mastery Connect is a separate product that's not included in the Virtual Virginia expansion. If a district wanted to add on Mastery Connect, we certainly can do that and work.
I think, Dominic, this might be a case where they're already a Mastery Connect customer.
Oh, okay. So this is okay.
If
you're a Mastery Connect customer, we can absolutely connect your Mastery Connect in with Canvas. That you just send an email to that VVA help, alert us to the fact that you've got both products now, and we can make those connections for you.
And no cost is the answer.
Yeah, no cost there. If you have both products, we will connect them for you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Thanks for the clarification, Rachel and Pat.
Hey, Dominic, can I jump back in real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to update on the question about what will be released in the 25, 50, 100% of the K-12 resources. So I reached out and found we're working on a document with that, and we will share it there with the calendar on that outreach page. Once we have that set up for publicly facing, we will have that information listed there.
Nate, Jamie asks if you have a timeline for that.
I do not. Sorry, it's a project team. I haven't heard back, but hopefully it'll be pretty quick turnaround. We just need to make some adjustments. So I'd say check a couple of days or so. Hopefully we'll have it up there in some form.
Anybody else have any questions for Canvas or Virtual Virginia? Seeing nothing coming across the board, unless anybody wants to flag me and let me know that you're typing your question. Rachel, do you want to throw up? I put one last slide on. We're going to actually cancel next week's meeting because a lot of us on the instructor side are taking a little break around the 4th of July holiday, and we know that a lot of folks in school districts take time off in the first full week of July, and so in the veiling period between now and when we come back on July 14th, we wanted to just remind you that you can reach out to that VVA help@instructure.com email address, where we have a whole team of people monitoring and able to support, whether you just have a Q&A type question or something more specific to your implementation. We're there for you, virtually at least. All right, well, seeing no more questions coming through, I'm going to stop the recording and say have a great week and enjoy the 4th of July holiday, everyone.